So it's gonna get weird. I'm gonna be jumping back and forth between point of views and times. So I'm gonna be saying like 30 minutes it's future or 30 minutes of the past or yeah. So last time we left off Hiruzen walking into the room and saying that he's going to be the Jonin Proctor for the second part of the Chunin exams, which confuses everybody. And Ibiki bows to him and "Is okay, Hokage-sama? They're they're yours." And the Hokage looks at all of them and goes, "You didn't think I quit being a shinobi, right?" Because they're all just staring at him, just gawking at him for calling himself a Jonin exam proctor, and they all come back to reality and they're all like asking questions. And he goes, "First off, let me get this straight. Kages, once they become a Kage, they're at the top of the top. If they were a Genin to a Kage, they're a Jonin to a Kage. Once that you take off this hat again, you go back down to your original rank. Right now, I'm acting Jonin. So Shikaku Nara, the brains of the Jonins, could honestly order me around right now. But he won't. Because Shikaku, 5 minutes earlier, was talking to Hiruzen. He's like, I'm going to go back to my house and fall asleep because there's nothing for me to do. He gets home. He passes out on the couch. The frying pan shall come back. But, so he's like, okay, meet me at the Forest of Death. Training Ground 44. And he walks out. I follow him, Laz follows him, and Naruto follows him. I immediately walk up next to him and go, let me guess. You're not going to the Forest of Death immediately, but you are going to the Forest of Death. He goes, I may do some paperwork, maybe have a nap or two. And he's just grinning like the Cheshire Cat. And Naruto's laughing his ass off behind us. They all ran to the Forest of Death. Except for the other rookies. Sakura ran too, but she didn't get very far. But she still didn't hear any of what they said. So, sorry, the original Konoha 12, minus Sakura, didn't run. They followed the Hokage. Everybody else just ran. Including Orochimaru, thinking, oh, he's going to be there immediately. No. He's messing with him. He goes, I may do some paperwork. That may go to late at night. I may take a nap, which may bring me to the next day. But I'll definitely get there. He goes, okay. And he looks at the Hokage and he's like, while you're doing your paperwork, could you send Yuhi Kuranai to the Higurashi weapons shop? And Laz snaps her head towards me and goes, you finished them already? And he goes, yeah. Okay, Sama, tomorrow before you start the exams, I want to give you some. He goes, what is it? And I go, oh, it is a new armor set. Don't worry, it's just as flexible as your current battle armor. It's more durable than your current battle armor. And it protects you better than your current battle armor. He goes, okay. So he goes to his office and starts doing paperwork. He uses the Anbu to get Kuranai, and Kuranai appears and like, you need me, Hokage-sama? He goes, apparently a Genin has something to give you. Don't know what it is, but apparently he sees you as a big sister figure. And she goes, oh yeah, that's Sasuke. And he goes, huh? She goes, I've been tutoring him on Genjutsu. And he goes, oh God. She goes, what do you mean? He starts looking over his desk and he's like, my paperwork has doubled, maybe even tripled since the last time he came into this room. He sees this seal tag underneath his table, rips it off, and rips it up. And the mountain of paperwork that was on his desk goes to one sheet. And the sheet says, you found it! Good job. Don't worry, only the important paperwork is copied. So even if it was a decoy, a random paper that was stuck lower on the stack, it would immediately be moved up to the top, so you would actually read it and say yes or no to it. But if it's not something important, like giving Genin D rank missions, now that was already given, it ain't gonna change. So so all the important stuff was at the top. Don't worry. But you found it! Good job. Now you got no more paperwork for the rest of the day. Oh, and if you do actually have a giant load of paperwork like that, why don't you use shadow clones? And the paper, after a while of him reading it, he slams his head on the desk. The paper goes up in a puff of smoke. And he goes, oh my god, it was a fucking shadow clone. Kurenai's like, okay, I'm going to the weapons shop. Wait, which weapon shop? He goes, Higarashi's. She goes, okay, I'm going to Higarashi's weapon shop to see what the hell he's giving me. Okay. I'll see. I'll be back, hopefully with good news. He goes, I get to go home and take a nap or play with Konohamaru. And he starts maniacally laughing because he actually has free time. And as she walks out, the secretary, who has a seal tag on the back of her neck, and a note on that seal tag that says, don't tell anyone. And she notices it because she has an eye for detail. It's the exact same seal tag as that was underneath the Hokage's desk. She comes in with this giant stack of paper and slams it on his desk and walks out. It was at such an angle that only when you're looking down at it, you could see it. So she goes to Higarashi's. There's another girl there. And she says hi to the other girl, and they both walk in because the other girl was told to wait for Kurenai, and they walk into the back, and he sees them, and he goes, two people that I wanted. Basically my little sister and my older sister. And here's your items. He opens up the tray, well, basically wardrobes, and he shows them Nyx Prime and Mirage Prime. And he points at Mirage Prime and says, Kurenai, this is yours. And if you know who Nyx is from Warframe, and you know what her specialty is, you'll know who the second person is. If you can guess that before I get to it, you get a cookie, a virtual cookie, because I don't have enough ingredients to actually give everybody a cookie. Sorry. I don't have enough to share to the class. Sorry. But he goes, this will help you increase the strength of your genjutsus. It also has 4 seals. It has a light genjutsu bomb seal, which will blind people for a little bit. It has a Hall of Mirrors seal. It has I forgot the other few abilities, but those are the only two I can remember. The other two abilities I completely forgot. Go look those up. But those are the only ones I'm really going to actually pay attention to. And she goes, what does the Hall of Mirrors do? And he goes, well, have you ever walked into a Hall of Mirrors and you just are lost because you see yourself so many times that you just can't see the way out? And she goes, yeah, that's one of my favorite genjutsus. He goes, well, it duplicates you. It makes it look like you're in a Hall of Mirrors, but in reality you're not. So, and it makes the genjutsu so strong, they're almost like shadow clones. She goes, what do you mean they're almost like shadow clones? Well, I call them genjutsu clones, or illusion clones. Completely different than the normal clone jutsu, which is just an illusion of yourself over there. These ones are physical. They can have a copy of anything physical you have, but if they throw it, it disappears. So no throwing stuff with them. But if you do have like a melee weapon, pulls out the scythe, and he goes, this also helps with your genjutsu, so don't worry. And I'll show you the scythe in a second. She goes, both of these help with your genjutsus, and they make your genjutsus 3 times stronger when they're paired together. But if you only use one or the other, makes them 1.5 times stronger. So, please, my only request is please do not put me in your pervert killing jutsu. Or pervert killing genjutsu. She's like, why? He goes, I'm a lecherous asshole, but I only do it for 2 things. Fictionary catgirls and one of my teammates. Looks directly at the other person and goes, not who you're thinking of. That is freaking disgusting. Just damn it. And he goes, now, to my favorite part of this. We go to the psychic blade. And yes, you'll see what it is, but let's go back to the next picture. There we go. The psychic blade. This blade does not actually harm the physical body, but harms the spiritual body. So you could cut right through somebody. They feel immense pain. This could kill. Just saying, this can kill. If you hit them enough with it, it will make their brain shut down and it kills them. But this can't physically harm somebody. He picks up the sword and drops it right on his arm, and it goes right through my arm. I pick up the sword, drop it, goes right through my arm. I'm like, I feel the pain of my hand getting cut off now. I really should have not done that. They're now both worried, and I'm like, don't worry. Pain will go away in an hour, maybe 2 or 3. Oh, God, this hurts. Let's get on to the next part. We go to Nyx. This is your armor. It's got a few abilities. One, makes everybody see you as their allies and their allies as you. So they won't attack you, but they'll attack their allies. It's basically a mental genjutsu. It only affects their perception, but not actually their eyesight. You'll have to test it to do it. But there's a psychic bomb ability. And they both look at me and go, "A what?" I go, "Okay. This will consume all of your chakra if you activate it. It activates a thin shield around you that makes you immune to all damage, but it will take all your chakra. No matter how little damage it is, it will take all your chakra. If you jump into the middle of a group of enemies or people that are trying to kill you, and you activate it, and they throw everything they have at you, you can send that feeling back at them. So if they try to stab you in the gut, they feel like they've been stabbed in the gut. They try to burn you alive with a Kaiten Jutsu. They feel like they're burning alive with a Kaiten Jutsu. And this is basically an insta-kill. So, well, technically insta-brain dead, but insta-kill. So be careful when you use this. And if you use this near an ally, it will ignore the ally. It is your subconscious that targets the enemies. So if you secretly want me dead somehow, subconsciously want to kill me somehow, it will kill me if other people have attacked you. So be very careful when using this. Now, there's also a few other abilities. One where it's a single target enemy control and so on. So yeah. It also increases all your Yamanaka mind jutsus. And your body will continue going. I put a specific seal in this armor to make your body work on its own at its absolute limits without hurting yourself at its absolute limits while you're in somebody else's body. And it will not attack the body you take over. If your spirit is currently out, it will try to stay in that one spot, but if like a kunai or a fireball comes at you, it'll move, but it cannot use any jutsu. That's the important thing. Now, this blade is stupid heavy when it's not the one wearing the Nyx outfit. I hand it right to the other person. I'm like, okay, be very careful with this. As you know, it can kill, and it's completely intangible to anything that is flesh and bone. She goes, what do you mean flesh and bone? I go, well, take this rod of metal. Try cutting it. She goes, okay. She brings it up, and she feels a tug on her chakra right when it hits the thing of metal. And it goes right through the thing of metal. I'm like, see? You probably felt a little tug of chakra in your thing. Because any non-living thing gets cut with wind chakra. Any living thing gets cut with your mind. Basically your soul. So be very careful when this blade breaks. Because if this blade breaks, yeah, you got somebody else who can do the same thing. It's just amplifying your mind techniques. It doesn't actually have mind techniques of its own. But I know the mind techniques of the Yamanaka clan can be transferred to somebody else. And I've already gotten permission from your father to make a male version of this, so don't worry. And this is going to be really weird, making a male Nyx, but oh well. Kind of want to make it a different Warframe. She's like, what's a Warframe? I'm like, those. And she goes, oh yeah, I heard that you have your own 2 versions of these. And I go, yeah. So I have my metal release one. I go into our Rhino form. I'm just standing there. I power down. I'm like, then I got my Titan release, which takes a lot of chakra for me to activate, and I'll only activate when I need it. And by the way, I'm a freaking badass when I'm in Titan release form. Kurenai's like, yeah, I heard. You punched someone's head off. That's the power of Mother Earth. And they both look at me like I'm stupid. I'm like, don't look at me like that. Just because I treat you like family doesn't mean you can act well, never mind. You can act like I'm your stupid little brother and stupid older brother. Never mind. And they're just still deadpanning me. I'm like, fine. I'll show you Atlas. I bulk up into Atlas for him. And they're like, oh, yeah, not to mess with him. Now, I get out of it, and I go to the scythe on the wall. I pick up the scythe, and I hand it straight over to the Kurenai. I walk over to her suit, and I press a few buttons in the cabinet, and all of a sudden, it shrinks down into the exact same thing she's currently wearing. She's like, who gave you my measurements? I'm like, huh? She's like, that looks like it'll fit me perfectly. I'm like, I activate my Sharingan. I'm like, oh, it does. I didn't design the cloths. I just put the seals in them. Huh. I activate Mirage because it's a special cabinet that can channel chakra and do it from a different, from a chakra storage seal on the back of it, in the back of the cabinet. And I look at the Mirage, I'm like, huh. Well, oops. It's a perfect match. That was a complete and utter accident. I look at Nyx and I look at, I'm like, now that needs to be fixed. That's a little too big. Actually, you know what? Never mind. Because you're going to be growing up. That has an auto adjustment feature. Never mind. You're good. And she's like, you know my measurements now? I'm like, I turn off my Sharingan. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. And they both look at me like, so you have a thing for your female teammate? I'm like, yeah. They both pull out a book and like, you're the one who wrote these, aren't you? I'm like, I'm neither going to confirm nor deny that statement. And I walk further back, and I'm like, oh, and another thing, those blades will never dull as long as you cut somebody with them. They both look at me like, what? I'm like, first off, the one that Ino has is made from Samehara. Oh, a scale of Samehara. And the other one is made by a chunk. Yes, a good chunk of Kubikiri Bocho. So yes, they are basically a copy of the Seven Swordsmen of the Mist blades. Ino puts this on her back. Kurenai finds a button on the handle. Well, technically a seal. She presses the seal with a little bit of chakra, and it folds up into the size of a staff. Well, not really a big staff, but more like a 3-foot long half staff. Not a quarter staff because it's not split into quarters. But yeah, she has a 3-foot long half staff. So, yeah. I walk out of the back room with 2 different looking things. I'm like, okay. These are the keys. Oh, crap. I press a few buttons on the one storage and the Nyx changes. And she sees that it's a pair of fingerless gloves. White and gold fingerless gloves. And a pair of white and gold combat boots. She goes, those... I go, make them work. I'm not redying them, and I am not changing the look of them. Make them work. She goes, fine. I go, okay. These are the keys. I flick them at Kurenai and Ino, and they catch them right in front of their face. I go, those are the keys. Have at them. I walk out of the room, lock the door. I go, if you hear that door unlock, that means I'm coming back in. You have 30 minutes. Kurenai immediately strips down to her underwear and pulls out her new pair of clothes and starts putting it on. I don't know how the hell she puts it on, so just imagine it yourself. Because it looks like her bandages and right arm thing. Ino takes off the bandages on her arm and takes off the bandages and the sandals she currently has and puts on her combat boots and goes, I'm really going to have to change this style of mine. And Kurenai's like, I think I know someone who can help you. I immediately bang on the door, being like, yo, Ino, Laz is here to help you with your style. I ain't gonna mess with that, so I ain't helping. And she goes, that's who I was gonna introduce you to help with your style. Looks like he thought of everything. Ino's like, well, time to go face the music. And she goes, why'd you say that? She goes, I don't know. All of a sudden they hear boom, 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 boom. And all of a sudden they hear a just loud thump on the ground. And a loud cry, ow, that hurt. And then a yell of, turn that down. And Ina's like, they're made for each other, aren't they? And Kurenai's like, yeah, they are. And they walk out maybe like 10 seconds later. And they see me on the ground nursing a giant lump on my head. And 1010. This is the first time you get to see 1010 besides the Chunin exams. 1010 walks in, sees the new gloves, the basically metal rod on and Kurenai's back, and the giant sword on Ino's back. And it starts fangirling over the weapons and armor. And Laz is like, 1010, wrong people to ask. She looks back at her sister and goes, what do you mean? She goes, he made them, remember? He's been making all these weird things. And 1010 immediately comes up right in front of me and goes, make me some. I'm like, I'm already making you a suit of armor that has so many weapons, you won't even know what to do with them. Well, technically it only has 2 weapons, but so many different abilities that you won't know what to do with it. I think I should make her that one. You think Valkyrie or Garuda? She goes, neither. Laz goes, neither. And Tenten's like, but why? Why neither? She goes, Valkyrie's a berserker that uses claws, and Garuda is a masochistic claw girl. And Tenten's like, and no, neither. I'm like, what? They both go, no. I'm like, damn. You think Neji would like Hydron? Or, Frost. You think he would like Frost? And they both look at me like I'm crazy. 1010 because she doesn't know who those are. And Laz because she knows exactly who they are. And I got confirmation from Laz that she plays as Warframe, so yeah. So how should I say this? After bouncing a few ideas off of Laz's brain, she goes, just make her Inaros as a puppet. And Tenten's like, I don't like puppets. She goes, you'll like this puppet. I guarantee it. Or make her Banshee. And I go, I don't want to make Banshee. That one hurts my ears. Make her Banshee or Inaros. Or I'll cut your balls off so fast. I'm like, fine, I'll make her Banshee. I'll make her Banshee. I'll make her Banshee. And this entire time, Eno and Kerr and I are watching this and laughing their ass off. So we go back like 5-10 minutes. 1010 walked up to her sister and was like, I would like to talk to you about something, and it's very important. She goes, okay, let's go to private training grounds. So they go to private training grounds, and 1010's like, okay, where the hell did you get your basically chain blade? Or chain whip? Or blade whip? Or whatever you want to call it? And she goes, I helped make it. Why? And she goes, okay, now, here's something very important. My sensei, told me about something, that you have a bloodline. And she goes, no, I have swift release. It is not a bloodline. Most bloodlines are just instinct based, to where we can do it instinctually and have an easier time of doing stuff. And she goes, do you know what your chakra natures are? And she goes, no. And she goes, okay. She pulls out a piece of paper and hands it to 1010. 1010 is her chakra and funnels it in. And I'm going to make a release that will make people really weirded out by this. She has fire, lightning, and water. And fire, lightning, and water. 1010's like, what does that mean? She goes, well, after a little bit of work, you can make a Keke Toda, like the Tsuchikage's dust release. And 1010's eyes widen, thinking of what kind of Keke Toda she could make. And she looks directly at 1010 and goes, I believe you can make a sound Keke Toda. She goes, what do you mean? She goes, well, all sound is energy feeling a pressure wave, or energy feeling some kind of vibration in either wind, water, or earth. So you could use lightning to create the energy, and then wind or water to make the sound. But that's all up to you. So they come up with a few ideas, and she goes, well, you could use sand. And I'm not telling you this because of friggin' magnet release of your stupid lightning and wind. Friggin' hate random edits. 1010 looks at her like she's crazy, and I'm like, she goes, okay, different bloodlines for different releases for different people take different kinds of how should I say this, chakra natures. So I could, let's say, have storm release. I have water and lightning. If I had storm release, I would be able to use storm release, but I can't. And I can't use the other version of storm release because I don't have a strong enough lightning nature. But I do have swift release because I do have a strong enough wind nature. And she a little confused, and she goes, the expert is Sasuke. I believe he's currently at the forge giving some gear to some people that he's been making it for. And she goes, what kind of gear does he even make? I never see him making any. I only see him on blueprints. She goes, well, when he makes gear, he uses shadow clones to make sure all the components are made at one time. So nobody knows what he actually makes until after he's done making it. Well, I kind of know because he has to tell me even before he gets permission from Dad to make it in the forge. But and Tenten's like, oh, okay. She goes, maybe I can convince him to make you some armor. She goes, ooh, like that armor you have? And she goes, yeah, he made those for me. I still don't know how he got my... Never mind, I know how he got my measurements. Damn shotting gun. And Tenten starts giggling because she's thinking of inappropriate things. So she thinks of things from the gutter and she goes, okay, now that's done, sister talk. And she goes, what do you mean? She goes, so have you confessed yet? And she goes, I'm going home before he blows up the forge again. And Tenten's like, he caused that? And she goes, no. But he did cause the giant iron spike in the front yard. And he caused the holes in the back door that was replaced with a metal door. And she goes, so that's why my favorite training post wasn't there anymore. And she goes, yeah. The one that looks like corkboard? Yeah. She goes, what's corkboard? And she goes, some really soft material that you can jab stuff in really easily. It's that board you see in the missions office of New Nukenin. And she goes, oh, that stuff? That's corkboard? And she goes, yeah. Goes, no wonder my kunai have been getting deeper and deeper into that post. She goes, yeah. Just the concussive pressure of what we were testing shattered it. It just shattered into splinters. We almost took guy's eyebrows off with in an accident. She goes, damn it, you didn't take his eyebrows off. And she goes, I know. But we did take Guy Jr.'s eyebrows off. She goes, so that's why he has fake eyebrows on. And Laz just starts laughing and she goes, okay, I'm going back before it goes boom because I think he's going to start a new project. But if I do get it to him before he starts a new project, he can start the armor I think he's going to make for you. I'm going to talk him into making Banshee. And Tenten's like, okay, who's Banshee? And she goes, well, Banshee is a character from a game. You know, those like RPG games you see the newer kids playing nowadays? She goes, yeah. It's a character from one of those games. And this character has the power to, with sound, find everybody in the vicinity of her. Oh, and she's completely blind, by the way, so you're not going to be able to see anything. With just sound, you're going to be able to throw weapons. I'm going to make sure you have that ability before you are given this armor, by the way. But also with sound, she can make the ground shake so violently that stuff falls over, stuff shatters on the ground, and people can just die from being on the ground for too long. She looks directly at Laz and goes, so cool. She goes, also one thing to note, it's an indiscriminate kind of vibration, so if you're out in the middle of nowhere or by yourself, go ham with it. But if you're with teammates, don't use it whatsoever. Oh, you're going to also have the ability with seals to screech really loudly. And this screech basically vibrates the enemy's abilities to where their soft spots basically glow red from blood. And she goes, that's a weird power. And she goes, oh, don't worry. It gets a lot weirder for more of these warframes. And she goes, okay, give me some. And she goes, well. And so they start talking about warframes on the way back. And so we skip back in time to the next day. Hiruzen finally walks to the training ground. And everybody's like, you're late. And he goes, I'm sorry. I got lost on the road of life after finding something very joyful. And I just start laughing my ass off. And he looks at me and goes, after the tutoring exams, you are now banned from C ranks for an entire year. I immediately go pale, be like, why? Why? And he goes, that was not a funny prank. I'm like, but you found it at least. And he goes, yeah. After 2 months of it being there. I go, nah. He just starts death glaring me. I'm like, you're more intimidating than this damn forest. And they all look at me like I'm crazy because they've been sitting outside of it all night. They've seen bugs fly into a barrier around it. I go, can I fix the barrier? Because it's kind of weak. And he goes, fine. Had a few tigers escape. I walk right up to the fence. I immediately strip down like the number 43. That says gate 43. I strip down the number and it's barrier for training ground 44. I strip down that and I immediately see it. And I'm like, who the hell did this? This was a complete amateur. And he looks at me and goes, Mito Uzumaki. I'm like, when was this made again? And he goes, when the training ground was first created. I look at him and go, no. This is not Mito's work. He goes, how can you tell? He pulls down a piece of paper and another more intricate seal is behind it. And I go, this is Mito's work. Someone put a seal on it that made the plants grow out of control. And animals out of control. Oh, and not to forget the barrier around it to keep the animals and plants safe inside. Safe inside. Not safe. Not us safe from it. Safe inside. Was flipped around. So, once I activate this seal, everything can come out, but not back in. So, I have to rewrite this entire seal now. Because this is not Mito's work. And I show the seal. And everybody just sees this complicated line of squiggles. And I show the other seal. And it's even more complicated. And I'm like, now this is beauty. This is just trash. Jiraiya's in the background. He's like, I look behind Hiruzen and see a giant toad. I'm like, and I look directly at Hiruzen and go, is the toad sounding back in the village? And he goes, yeah. I go, oi, Jiraiya. I know that's you behind Hiruzen. And Hiruzen turns around and he just sees this tiny toad. And he goes, that's just a normal toad. I'm like, that is the hiding in a toad stomach jutsu. Don't know what it's actually called, but it's the jutsu where he hides in a toad stomach. And he immediately climbs out and he goes, only people who've signed the contract with Mount Mayaboku can actually know what this jutsu is. So, what's going on here? And I go, well, let me see your hand real quick. And he goes, okay. He shows the kanji for toad, or whatever the hell the kanji is on his hand. I go, that is an impressive gravity seal. It has the same signature as this seal. And Hiruzen looks at Jiraiya and goes, you did what, Tomato seal? And he goes, I didn't draw this seal. And he goes, who did? And he goes, Danzo. I immediately look at Jiraiya and go, let me guess. You taught him the basics of sealing. He goes, no, he taught me the basics of sealing. And I got further and further into the rabbit hole of sealing. And now I am, I think, max for what I can do. I go, no, you're about journeyman. Actually, I look at them again. Actually, I believe you're novice level for Uzumaki. Journeyman for normal people. He goes, I knew I was friggin' bad at it. And I go, this is novice on both ends. He goes, yeah. I saw that seal once you pulled it down. I'm like, no, that ain't right. So I walks right up, and he was like, can I fix it? I'm like, no, I got it. I walk right over to the platform. The seal has come down for a while now. A few insects, tiny insects, have left and are basically venturing around. And I quickly write down a seal, and Jiraiya's seeing my fluid movements and all this beautiful calligraphy I'm doing, and is seeing a seal come together that is super freaking powerful. And he sees I weave in Senjutsu chakra into it. And he goes, wait. Only Senjutsu practitioners can weave Senjutsu into their seals. And I during the middle of the thing, grab the top of my shirt and yank the back off of me. So I'm still wearing my shirt over my arms and my torso, the front of my chest, but my back is completely a thing. And you could see 20 different animals. You could see a cheetah. You could see a lion. You could see a honey badger. You could see an ape. You could see a lizard of some kind. A lizard with spines down its back, and yeah. You could see a moth of some kind with a giant wingspan. If you can guess who those are, good on you. And a few more. And one that's most important was a boar. I say, oh, don't worry. It's a very mythological boar. It's all about its indestructibility. So yeah, its strength and fortitude. So yeah, don't worry about any of the what looks like passive creatures. No, they're predators in their own myths. So yeah. So I put my shirt back over my head after I'm done and with putting the seal up. And Jiraiya looks over my seal and is like, I can't beat this. I could barely understand it, and I can't beat this. I'm like, damn right. And I immediately pull out 5 books. I'm like, here's basics of the Uzumaki sealing. And he looks at me and goes, how many of these do you have? I'm like, who knows? Laz walks up to me and starts poking me in the side and goes, give me the next one. I immediately go into my jacket, which I have a jacket on. It isn't a big fancy jacket. No, it's just like a vest jacket. I go on my jacket, pull out another book. This book is small, but it's thick. I hand it right to her and go, please don't use any of these on me. And she goes, don't worry, I won't. Unless you do something bad enough where I have to, but I won't intentionally frame you to do it. Oh, thank God. So she goes back to where we are currently standing, and everybody's looking at me like I'm crazy. I look directly at the Hokage and be like, only humans can get back out. As long as they have human genetics in their body. Orochimaru is now sweating underneath his disguise because he's still going through with his plan, but he knows he ain't human no more. I'm like, as long as they have completely human genetics, they'll still get back out. He looks at me and Laz and goes, what about your seals? I know those aren't completely human anymore. I'm like, the non-human genetics are sealed away. So as long as I don't activate my seals, I'm good. He goes, okay. I understand that now. I look directly at what Orochimaru is. I'm like, as long as you have human genetics and can seal away your non-human genetics, you can come back out. I walk immediately over to the Hokage and like, death waiver? And he's like, okay, here you go. And all of a sudden the Chunins appear and start handing out death waivers. I sign mine quickly and hand it back to the Hokage. And it has a little seal at the bottom that I put there. And he activates the seal and he goes, don't worry, Orochimaru is now trapped. So, Anko. We go to Anko. And I've drawn a seal on her. And I don't know if I have mentioned this before, but her curse seal is gone. Her curse seal is now the image of a honey badger. And if you know the show that I'm referring to with her being able to transform into part honey badger, good on you. But if you don't, oh well. I keep forgetting the name, but it looks like a good show. So yeah. So we finally get into the forest. And I grab Naruto's shoulder and Laz's shoulder. I'm like, time to teleport to the tower. Naruto's like, I'll make the clones. And I go, no, we all have to make our own clone. He goes, but why? I'm like, you'll see. We all make our own shadow clone. I'm like, time to teleport to the tower. I teleport to the tower, and I get on top of the tower. I'm like, shoot to kill. I stomp the ground. Something shoots out of the ground, and I grab it. And it's my gun. It's my rifle. And I pull out 3 bullets. 3 special bullets. And I load it in order of seal, depleted chakra round, and depleted chakra round. You'll understand that in a bit. And I load in the depleted chakra round. Our clones are booking it to the tower. They don't care about any of the teams yet. They're just booking it. And we go to Orochimaru, who has now ambushed them halfway to the tower. Laz, I don't remember if I let her see my eyes yet, but I now let her see my eyes. Because I'm looking down the iron sights of my weapon. I have my left eye shut, my right eye open. Time starts to slow down for me. Not completely stop, mind you. Slow down. My perception of time via eyes is 30 times faster. But I also have telescopic vision with my right. And basically a fisheye lens on my left. So if I just close my right and I just look through my left, I see everything in a 180 degrees from my eye. So you can think of that as you wish. It gives me a wider peripheral vision when I just use my left eye. But if I just use my right eye, it zooms in so much that it's really hard to do anything else. So it's going to be good now. So my clone popped another clone to stabilize himself because he got blown off the tree. So I know exactly where they are now. And I turn around. Lasses saw my eyes, at least this time. I turn around. I lay down. I turn on my bipod so I have better control of the barrel. And I zero in. So, depleted chakra rounds are really strong ammunition. So if you think of depleted uranium rounds, now just think of chakra. They can go through anything. So I activate a few of my seals. My eyes basically allow me to see now anything Orochimaru, the actual Orochimaru. So I aim directly at him. I pull the trigger. In slow motion, the bullet is leaving the gun. And normal speed for me, I'm moving normal speed. I crank it up, yank it back. The shell starts to eject. I grab the shell, slam it on the ground, shoot, pull up the next bullet, shoot the plunger forward, and slam it back down so that I have another shot. It's now maybe 10 meters away from me. I aim at his other arm because I've shot at his left arm. I'm now shooting at his right arm. And I pull the trigger. I cock the bolt back, pull up the last round after getting the shell out of there, slam it forward, aim at his chest. And I'm like, well, he's screwed. I pull the trigger. The bullets hit in such a fast speed that he has no time to react. So left arm gets blown off, right arm gets blown off, shot in the chest. Now this one doesn't blow a hole in his chest like most Barrett 50 calibers would. No, this one hits him in the chest. He's out of oxygen. He's now against the tree. Seals start to spread out underneath his clothes without him noticing. And it just starts to seal away his chakra. So he can't use it. His tenketsu are closed. Except for in his shoulders. Those voids are sucking all the chakra out of him. And in the time that it takes for the bullets to hit Orochimaru, and for me to pull out a flare gun, I shoot it in the direction Orochimaru is, and it sends a noise and a bright yellow light. I made a code where it's green for Tsunade, red for Jiraiya, and yellow for Orochimaru. A bright yellow light. The Anbu squad that has been waiting for that light, because I kind of foresaw this, follows it to Orochimaru, who's currently writhing in pain, and they've been given 3 kinds of gloves. Glove 1 is to help deal with the anti-chakra rounds, so they can pull them out. Glove 2 is to help with the high explosive incendiary rounds that have not gone off when they hit, which is 90% of the rounds, or I think it's 2% of the rounds that hit, the seals don't activate properly, and so yeah, if they have to retrieve somebody that's been hit by those shells. And the third, if I haven't said the third already, is the seals one. They must use those to transport the prisoner to lockup. So they've pulled out the depleted chakra rounds and grabbed him with the sealed gloves. And they're holding him with the straps so they don't get touched by so his skin can't touch their skin. So they walk him out of the thing, And the Hokage is waiting for them, and they're trying to walk out, and they're pulling, and he's stuck in the forest of death. And Hokage's like, so you've gone this far down the rabbit hole. Huh. You're not even human anymore. And he's starting to hiss at them. And he can't transform into his real form because he needs chakra for that. So he's like, take down the barrier for a few seconds. So they take down the barrier for a few seconds, and they keep bringing him along. Anko sees her sensei in this kind of state and just busts a gut laughing. Because he looks so pathetic. Oh, don't worry, the invasion's still happening. That's still happening. But Orochimaru's taken out of the equation. So, Rasa, at this point in time, would be waiting for Orochimaru. He never showed up. So, Kabuto, who snuck out of Anbu interrogation, is like, we're still going through with it, but there's an issue with Orochimaru. He got captured. He ain't gonna spill crap, because he's too proud to spill stuff, so we're still go. So Roz is like, okay. And then, just lazily after that, I pull out the cartridge and pull out another seal. Not just any kind of seal 5-element seal bullet. And I shove it in the gun. And I load it. And I'm like, so who wants to go and talk to Gaara? I was like, I'll do it. I'm like, no. I wasn't actually asking. I was telling Naruto to go. She goes, aw. But I like Tamari. I'm like, I know you like Tamari. Flashback to when they met Tamari. This is the previous day. Oh, actually, no, the previous week. Before the exams start. Kankuro was being an asshole to Konohamaru. Konohamaru and the Konohamaru Corps sees Team 7 as their role models. So Moegi wants to be like Laz. Udon wants to be like me. So he's been researching his passion in life. And he is more in common with Shikamaru. And Konohamaru wants to be like Naruto. So, yeah. So, yeah. Konohamaru was running away from me because he pissed me off, and you never insult Laz in front of me. Or Moegi. Moegi wasn't there at the time. He was just talking to Udon, be like, yeah, she's kind of scary. I walk up to him and go, every female is scary. He goes, no, not every female, just her. I'm like, and why is that? And she goes, her posture. I'm like, A, that's her style. Her attitude. B, that's her style. And he goes, what are you, like, her slave or her attack dog? I immediately look at him and go, that's not a bad idea, but I suggest you run. And he goes, why? I go, because I'm going to beat your butt because you gave me a good idea. And he goes, that makes absolutely no sense. I'm like, I neither confirm nor deny that's a good idea. Now run. And he goes, okay. So he starts walking. And I pull out my thorn. And he knows I pack rubber bullets just for him. Rubber 500 grant or 500. rubber 500 Smith & Wesson bullets. Yeah, I don't think they're supposed to do that. Make someone flip end to end. Yeah. So he sees me pull out the thorn, and he knows that I would never use real live bullets. I would use rubber bullets. So he runs because I'm actually serious about him running. So I follow him slowly, and I hear two people crash into each other. I'm like, huh, you probably crashed into somebody. So I walk around the corner, and I see Konkoro. And I go, huh, I didn't know trans was in this era. I didn't know transgender people were in this era. And Konkoro gets a tick mark on his head and be like, first off, don't hate on transgender people. And second off, I'm not transgender. I'm like, then why are you wearing a cat suit and girls' makeup? And he goes, I'm not wearing cat suit. And this is war paint. I'm like, there's ears on your head, and that's the same color as your sister's lipstick. He goes, fair. That is a fair assumption because of the ears on my head. But it's not the same color. I'm like, I have the Sharingan. I can tell colors. Mangekyo actually makes me colorblind. But the Sharingan gives me perfect recall. And that is telling me that purple is the same that are on her lips at this very moment. She looks at Konkoro and goes, you stole my lipstick again, didn't you? And he's like, no. And she goes, you frickin' liar. He goes, I did not steal your lipstick. And she goes, then if I go back to the hotel right this very second, I can find my lipstick right where I left it, on the counter in the bathroom. And he goes, I don't know where your lipstick went. And she looks at him and is like, I'm going to kill you. And he goes, see, I ran out of purple. And she goes, I'm going to fucking kill you. So she starts taking off her fan, and I go, whoa, 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 whoa. I got something for you, Tamaria of the Desert. I got something for you, Conqueror of the Desert. And yours is a surprise for the second phase of the Chunin exam. I'm Gata of the Desert. And they all look at me like I'm fucking crazy. I'm like, don't look at me like that. One will help Conqueror with his puppets and make sure he's more diverse. You're a wind mistress, and it'll fit you. And you, Mr. Tanuki, need to meet the fox before I give you your present. So yeah, that's why I said second phase. And I look directly at Konkoro and Tamari and go, meet me at the Higurashi weapon store, and I'll give them to you. But there's one condition, and I'll tell you it at the weapon store. And they go, okay. So the day of, I'm currently in the back of the store, and Mr. Higurashi, I still don't know his first name because I'm too lazy to learn. And plus, as a writer, I'm too lazy to actually think of one. Or if he has one, I'm too lazy to actually go find it. So yeah. So if you can tell me what it is in the comments, that'd be really great. That'd be really helpful. But he's like, there's 2 Sandnin here to talk to you. I'm like, yes, they're here. So I come out and I'm like, come on. And he's like, if you show them our smithing text, I'm like, I'm not. I'm giving him something that I made just specifically for them. He's like, okay, I still don't know what the hell those suits are. I'm like, I'm sorry, but I had to use your measurements. I look directly at Tamari and I say, your measurements are very odd for what you normally look like. And she goes, what? I go, take off your chest armor and bindings and put that on. And it's a chest armor that allows her to fill it out completely without needing bindings. And Konkuro sees this and goes, huh? I've never seen her that big. And she immediately pulls her fan and slams him to the ground. I'm like, I wouldn't have said that. Even I'm not that stupid to comment about women's chests when they're normally binding it. But anyway, for you, Mr. I'm on the floor 90% of my life because Tamari keeps getting pissed at me, get that one. And I show him a faceless one. If you know who Vauban is from Warframe, you know who it is. So Tamari gets her chest piece on, and I'm like, okay, Miss Wind Mistress, due to your abilities in wind, I have seen fit to increase your abilities in wind. Look at Konkuro and go, as a compensation for giving you these for free, you must sign this contract. And they read it over, and their eyes narrow at the last part, and says, you must take Gara and leave the invasion before it starts. Well, as it starts, you must leave and never come back during the invasion to help with the invasion. And they look at me and go, how do you know this? I go, I have my sources, and this is just to make sure that we don't have a rampaging giant tanuki killing his own forces and Konoha's forces before it actually gets underway. So, will you do this? They sign it, and they're like, okay. So Tamari is like, okay, what does this armor do? I'm like, Zephyr. She's like, what? I go, I've heard a myth or a legend or whatever you want to call it of someone who's able to control the winds just by her inner energy. And if you know who Zephyr is, good on you. And I go, okay. There's air dash, tornado summoning, and I tell her all the abilities. I'm like, and the best part is it comes with its own curse seal. And Tamari and Konkuro narrow their eyes and look at Konkuro going, sorry, dude, there's no curse seal for you. And I walk right up to her and say, put this seal on the back of your neck. Within 24 hours, you'll start gaining bigger reserves, and your body will be tougher. And she looks at me skeptical. I'm like, I know it's too good to be true at some points in time, but sometimes you have to go out on a limb. She was fine. Besides that, what do you want? I'm like, I thought you would never ask. And they look at me deadpan. I'm joking. In this form, you cannot use your fan, obviously. So I have changed your weapon from a fan into a bladed whip. Or into a whip blade, whatever you want to call it. But in total, this would be roughly 300 million Ryo, with how hard the metal is to get, how hard it is to make, the base metals to get, how hard it is to make, what I need to do to create it. Oh, this is for both of your stuff. And I look directly at Konkuro and go, and here is your trap hammer. And he goes, what? I'm like, trap hammer. You get to find all the buttons and play with all your toys. Oh, and I do not suggest fixing it yourself, your trap hammer. I suggest you get a blacksmith to mess with it, so you don't have to accidentally shoot yourself with a sleep dart or shoot yourself with a poison dart or anything. So yeah. He goes, okay. Fine. I look at Tamari and go, now, fly, little birdie. And disappear in a flash of, why should my flash be? Because I don't want a yellow flash like Minato. Ooh, a black flash. I disappear in a black flash where it sucks up light where I was. So we now go back. Naruto has walked up in front of Gaara, and he's releasing the smallest amount of Kyuubi's Yaoki that he can. And Gaara is releasing the smallest amount he can without going overboard. And all of a sudden, Gaara gets hit in the chest with something. And they just see cracks underneath, or a hole under, or in his sand armor. And he just falls over and passes out. And I'm currently at the tower being like, I love long range delivery. All of a sudden I get slammed in the back of the head with the butt stock of the No Land Beyond from Laz and go, you know you could have killed him. I'm like, no, I couldn't have. It's like a giant rubber ball hitting you in the chest. Just in a very small point. And she goes, you could have killed him. I'm like, no. Even if this goes through one of them and blows a hole out their back, their demon will just heal them. I'm like, she's like, and how do you know this? I'm like, I might have shot Naruto because he pissed me off at one point. And she looks at me deadpan and goes, you did what? I'm like, I might have shot Naruto because he pissed me off at one point. She looks at me and goes, if you don't get that scroll, I'm going to rip you apart. I go, don't worry. I got the scroll when we first entered the forest. She goes, what do you mean? I'm like, every year, the Chunin exams is always in the Forest of Death. So I just hid one in the entrance gates. I hid one for Ino. I hid one for Shino. I hid one for what was his name again? Rock Lee? No. Oh yeah! Stick up the ass Neji. She just deadpans at it. Yeah, I'm like, don't worry, only 1010 knows where it is. And she goes, I thought we went over this. He's not stick up the ass Neji unless he actually requires to have a stick pulled out of his ass. I'm like, he requires a stick to be pulled out of his ass because he still has that face spiel. She goes, fair. I'm like, okay. Now, it's time to walk into the tower, but we need to wait for Naruto. Damn it. We need to wait for Naruto again. So we wait 5-10 minutes. Naruto gets back, being like, was that supposed to happen? I'm like, yeah, I shot Gaara. They're like, you did what? I'm like, don't worry. It was the 5-element seal, so it goes over his main seal. Well, it moved over to his main seal. And he goes, where's his main seal? I'm like, do you not see the kanji for love on his forehead? He goes, yeah. I'm like, that's the only part of his body that is not covered in sand armor, is that kanji for love on the left side of his forehead. And he looks at me and goes, wait, what? I'm like, the left side of his forehead is not covered in sand armor because it physically cannot cover that part, or it will cover the seal. And then the seal will clamp down on Shukaku, and Shukaku would be forced back in, and he wouldn't be able to be free for a good 30-40 minutes. And it would just be a hindrance to him. So he figured out that if he marked the seal with the kanji for love, he would be able to find it easier and not be clamped into the seal because he wouldn't be triggering the seal. Now, here's the painful part. I gotta find a way to take the seal from his forehead down his body and into his gut. So Shukaku can't mess with him mentally anymore. Because from what I can see from this distance, and I can see a lot from this distance, a seal is perfectly fine. It's a normal demon suppression seal which can suppress up to the 4 tails. The issue is where it is. And Laz looks at me and goes, wasn't it to where he was given it in the womb? I go, yes. Depending how the infant is positioned in the womb depends on where the seal is. And I'm guessing he was head down at that point in time. Or head midway. I don't know where they tried to put the seal. But, yeah. It's on his forehead. Which is not a good spot to be. So. It's time for us to go inside. So we go inside. And Naruto opens the scrolls. Iruka says hi to us. I walk over to Laz, slam 500 yen on her shoulder. I'm like, I really hate betting against you. And she's like, hey, I knew it wouldn't change. And I go, and oh, Lady Miss, I was right this one time. How did you know it wouldn't change? She goes, I had a gut feeling. I go, oh, like your gut feeling to where we would see Lady Tsunade being on the wave mission? In the back of my mind is like, I'm so glad she didn't notice Lady Tsunade in the wave mission. That's another change that I made. And she goes, yeah. Naruto's about to say, but I slam my hand over his mouth and like, he's going to say nothing. He's going to say nothing. She goes, no. Let me hear what he was about to say. I'm like, fine. And he goes, but I saw this tall, busty blonde with a girl and a pig in the wave area. Isn't that Tsunade? And she looks at me and goes, you didn't tell me you saw Lady Tsunade at the wave during the wave mission. I'm like, I don't want to lose 5,000 Ryo. I'm sorry. And she goes, okay. Now that we have close to 100, I'm like, I'm actually broke again. She looks at me and goes, and why are you broke again? I'm like, I made more armors and gave them out for free. And she goes, okay. Next time you give out an armor for free, make sure it's written in the contract. And I go, oh, don't worry. I already have a contract that gives me millions and millions of Ryo. And she goes, oh, and what contract is that? I'm like, oh, crap. I pull out a synthetic face mask of Madara. I pull out Hyuga contacts. And I'm like, I'm the fake Madara Hyuga. And she just deadpan looks at me and go, you can waste 5,000 Ryo. I'm like, no, I can't. She goes, and why not? I'm like, I'm currently buying up all of Konoha. And she goes, and why, per se, are you buying up all of Konoha? I'm like, because I've slowly stopped the demon hatred of Naruto, because every time you might see a civilian that currently owns some or currently rents some of my property, I kindly threaten them that if they start or spreading that crap again, or I somehow hear about them saying nasty things to Naruto, I will kindly evict them from Konoha, because I own already 99% of Konoha, and the only thing I do not own is the Hokage Tower. She just deadpan looks at me and goes, "And you're gonna say this when?" I go, I'm currently broke at this point in time, so and Ruka's in the background being like, "Oh, what's going on?" So she storms into the tower, and I'm like, at least my balls aren't getting chopped off today. And she pokes her head back through and goes, "I have a few questions." And I go, "Yes, ma'am." Because I'm still terrified of her. Yeah, I'm still terrified of her. So, we move forward. It's now day 4. And Hiruzen walks in and be like, "The forced death trial actually started the day that Ibuki came by. So everybody here, which is currently 5 teams, passes. Everybody that's not here doesn't pass." And everybody looks at him and goes, "That's unfair." And he goes, "Death isn't fair." I immediately object. I'm like, "No, death is completely fair." He looks at me and goes, "How?" I go, "Oh, doesn't care if you're poor, rich, noble, commoner, famous, not famous. Death comes for everybody." He goes, "That's true. Life isn't fair. Let's go with that." I go, "Actually, the game of life is completely fair. It's the people who play the game that cheat." And he goes, "I really hate your philosophical bullcrap." I go, "I'm always here to irritate." Well, I'm going to end it here. I've been irritating the Hokage. I pissed him off. I am now stuck doing D ranks for the next year after the Chunin exams. What happened to my clone? What happened to... Well, you already know what happened to Orochimaru. He's currently in TNI getting his ex-apprentice, who's part honey badger now, by the way, to play with him and having fun. So hopefully you guys enjoy. If you guys did, comment, like, subscribe if you're not subscribed already. I try to talk to everybody who comments on my videos. Well, not premiere comments, because I don't watch my own premiere. So yeah, talk to each other if you're watching it during the premiere. So yeah, what else? Yeah, that's it. I'm gonna get the Zephyr Prime skin that I like, the Vauban skin that I like, the Vauban with hammer skin. I like that hammer. Who should I bring from a different game to be the armor of Yugao Yuzuki? Because all my favorite characters are getting armor, and that means Naruto is going to get his own armor. Just not yet. So yeah, who should I give? Who should I get as armor? Put in the comment description below. And talk to you guys later. Goodbye.